Welcome my lovely primary 4 students. I am Mrs. Dua and this is our first lesson in concept 2, energy and motion. النهارده هنبتدي مع بعض concept 2 في theme 2 energy and motion. عايزاكم تركزوا عشان هنبتدي نحط البيزز بتاعة الكونسبت. I'm sure it's not your first time to hear about these two words, energy and motion, because in the first concept we discovered a bit about energy and how it's related to motion and force. تهيألي دول كلمتين مش جداد. We learned that any moving objects have energy and we call this energy kinetic energy. We discovered that there is a relation between force, energy, and work. If we try to move any object around us, we can make it stop its motion or change its direction. And to be able to do this, there must be pushing force or pulling force. عشان نحرك أي object هنحتاج ال pushing force أو ال pulling force. Remember, when a force acts on an object and causes its motion for a specific distance, we can say that we did work on this object. لما بيحصل حركة للobject يبقى احنا كده عملنا work. Like when we push a broken car on the road. We defined work as the energy transferred by force which is used to move an object. الwork هو لما الطاقة بتتنقل للفورس، طاقة جسمي بتتحول لفورس أقدر أحرك بيها الobjects. We will use all this information to connect to what we will explore in the second concept. The first task in our lesson today is the strategy called associations. Let's draw a table in your notebook like this one on the screen. Then, write one of the key vocabulary of concept 2 at the beginning of each column. هنرسم الجدول زي اللي قدامكم وهنبتدي نكتب ال keywords. These terms are in the student book page 160. Let's read them together. Chemical energy, gravitational potential energy, kinetic energy, potential energy, thermal energy. After drawing the table and writing down the terms at the first cell of each column, we will write any vocabulary we studied before which might be connected to any terms in the table. Also, at the end of each lesson, you will add any term you learned which is connected to these terms. في آخر كل lesson هترجع تاني للتيبل وتكتب أي كلمات جديدة مرتبطة بالكي vocabulary دي وتقدر تفسرها لك. You also may delete a term that you have written and you discovered it's not relevant. أي keyword أي word أنا هكتبها أقدر أرجع تاني أمسحها لو حسيت إنها مش مرتبطة قوي أو مش هتساعدني في تفسير الكي vocabulary ده. Take your time and write down all the vocabulary you know under each term. I'm very curious to know what did you write. Let me show you what I wrote down under the term that include gravity. I wrote pulling force. فاكرين gravity? It was pulling objects to the earth. So I wrote pulling force. I also wrote down the terms pushing force and pulling force in the column of the kinetic energy. Because the pulling and pushing forces can cause the motion of any object. واحنا اتفقنا ان الانرجي of moving object هي الكايناتيك energy. عشان كده كتبنا pushing and pulling force. I also wrote down the term speed in the column of kinetic energy. If you remember what happened in the investigation when we increased the number of fire extinguishing in the racing car, فاكرين لما جبنا سيارة السباق وحطينا فيها طفايات حريق وزودنا عدد طفايات الحريق، ايه اللي حصل للسرعة؟ You will know why I wrote that. But I'll give you a chance to know the reason yourself during the lessons in this concept. While filling your table, you for sure observed that we have different forms of energy. Let me ask you, what is energy? And how energy is connected to motion? And finally, how can we get energy? We can start our first activity in this lesson. Can you explain by that question? the question we are going to investigate in this concept: how do moving objects get energy? إزاي الأجسام المتحركة هتجيب طاقة؟ Open your book and page 161 and look carefully at the picture. What you see is a kind of sport. Do you see this picture? This is a picture of a sport like the ice skating. But the difference between this sport and ice skating is that the player running down in a dune or a sand hill. هنا الفرق إن البلاير بيتزحلق على رمل. We play the sport in Egypt, in Fayoum in وادي الريان, and in Siwa Oasis. اللعبة دي بنلعبها في مصر في الفيوم. It's called sand surfing, التزحلق على الرمال. In this sport, the sand surfer uses a skateboard. شايفينه واقف على إيه؟ Like the one you see here. And then he stand at the top of the hill. تعالوا أوريكم بيقف إزاي. الساند سيرفر بيقف هنا على top of the hill اللي هي بداية الجبل. Then he starts to move down the hill. Do you think while the sand surfer moves down, will he move fast or slow? ترى هو هيتزحلق بالسرعة ولا بالراحة؟ فاكرين؟ In the introduction of the unit, we said that ramp or slope help in moving the objects down. فاكرين لما اتكلمنا على الويل شير وقلنا ان الرامب هيساعد الاوبجكت ان هو ينزل لتحت؟ This will increase the object's motion like the exact motion of the sand surfer. خدتوا بالكم من كلمة increase؟ هتزود الحركة. So it means that his motion will be quicker whenever he moves down. Also, whenever the steep of the dune increases, the surfer will move quicker and quicker. كل ما كان السلوب اللي هينزل عليه sharper كل ما سرعته هتزيد. كل ما السلوب يعلى كل ما هتبقى السرعة أسرع. I want you to think about all the points we revised together about the energy. Also, what we observed in the picture. Then, record all the ideas you have answered in the question, can you explain, on page 161. When we come back, we will think of some answers that your friends shared with me. One of your friends said, I can move because of the energy I get from the food. أنا بقدر أتحرك عشان الطاقة اللي أنا باخدها من الأكل. بتهيألي أكيد كلكم حسيتوا بده. لما بناكل كويس بنحس إن عندنا more and more energy. The sand surfer, this is the answer of the second student. The sand surfer in the picture was standing on the top of the hill. And when he started to move down, he moved quickly. At this point, he had kinetic energy because he was moving. احنا اتفقنا ان energy of moving object is called kinetic energy. But he didn't have energy before moving. يعني لو هو واقف هنا while he is standing he doesn't have energy. But while he is moving down he has kinetic energy. Thanks for all our friends who think and share their simple answers. And this is all we need now. During the concept, we can test the ideas we recorded and then add new information to help us construct and build a scientific explanation for the main question. Also, many students in my class said that they get energy from food and moving objects have energy. خدتوا بالكم من دي؟ Moving objects have energy اللي هي kinetic energy. And if a stable object starts to move, it gets energy. I was excited about Farah's answer because she wrote that energy can be found in many forms. الطاقة ليها أشكال كتيرة because there are different forms of energy in the key vocabulary. وهي بتكتب في التيبل بتاع الكي vocabulary لقيت إن في أنواع كتيرة جدا من الانرجي. She also wrote that the energy we get from the digesting process is probably different from the light energy we studied in concept 3. I like your way of thinking, Farah, because you started to ask questions, which means you started to think properly like a scientist. Since we talk about asking questions, let's move to the second activity, Ask Like a Scientist. In the second activity, we will explore more about the question of how moving objects get energy by reading and watching a video about the roller coaster. عارفين يعني ايه roller coaster؟ شايفين الصورة دي؟ I'm sure that all of you had seen this play before. أو متهيألي كمان ممكن تكونوا لعبتوها. What do you think of the energy of the roller coaster? How does it get this energy that causes its motion and make you interested in riding it? I need you to open your book on page 162 and start reading the text. Then underline the sentences that talk about the energy that causes the motion of the roller coaster from the beginning until it stops. ركزوا تاني مطلوب منكم ايه؟ هتقروا التكست وهتعملوا underline على أي دليل على الانرجي اللي الرولر كوستر بيستخدمها عشان يبتدي يتحرك لحد ما يقف. Let's convert the text we read into a drawing to follow and detect the train's motion. Then, write down all vocabulary and ideas connected to energy and motion. أول حاجة هنرسم الرامب أو الريلوي اللي هيمشي عليه الرولر كوستر. بداية الرولر كوستر أو القطر بتاعه بيبقى تحت كده. طيب. This is the starting point of the roller coaster or the moment when we ride a car or any vehicle to start its motion. هنا بتبقى نقطة البداية. دي نقطة الستارتنج. What causes the car motion؟ ايه اللي هيدي للترين ده push تخليه يبتدي يطلع أصلاً؟ It needs energy and a force. What makes a roller coaster start its motion is the motor of its cars. الكارز بتاعته بيبقى فيها موتور، هي دي اللي هتخلي الرولر كوستر يبتدي حركته. في ايه تاني؟ البارز بتاعته دي كلها it's conducted to electricity. كل البارز دي it's conducted to electricity. So it starts motion because of the motor of the cars and electricity of the bars. The energy that the roller coaster car gets from motor and electricity push the car forward until it reaches the highest point. الموتور والelectricity هيزقوا الكارز لحد ما توصل هنا اللي هي ال highest point. Let's put a mark here. Until the roller coaster reaches this point and stops. What happened to the roller coaster's energy that causes its motion? When the roller coaster moves down the ramp, is there anything that can affect its motion? يا ترى ايه اللي هيحصل للانرجي والترين ده طالع لفوق؟ طب لما هيطلع وهو نازل، في حاجة تانية هتأفكت الموشن بتاعته، هتأفكت حركته؟ We will explore more about this question in the video in which Ziad and Tariq explore the roller coaster's motion in their trip to an amusement park. تعالوا بينا نفكر مع بعض. Let's watch part of the video.
We got ready for our experiments on the family bench by picking where we should use our accelerometers, just like we did with the buttons in the museum.
How about we each pick two things that we think are the most exciting and measure those? Okay, my first choice is the bottom of the second hill, because I think you go super fast and it drops to 228 feet and you feel kind of crushed. I think we'll get a big G-force there. My first choice is the top of the second hill. I think it'll get much more speed from the first hill and you get butterflies with much more G's. My second choice is a straightaway right after the first hill. It goes super fast as you come down from the first hill, and it curves you as it goes. I think we'll get a little less G's here. My second choice is the huge 180 curve when it feels like you're gonna fly off the track. I think we'll get a good amount of G's, but not as much as my first choice. So you think there'll be more G's at the bottom of the hill, but I think there'll be more G's at the top. Just watch, I'll get more G's than you. Don't count on it. Only the accelerometer knows for sure.
We decided to go on the roller coaster 4 times and write down the results at the end of each ride.
Try to concentrate on what Tariq and Ziyad calculated while riding the roller coaster. Have you noticed the question they are trying to explore? Is it the speed? طب what is the relation between the motion of the roller coaster, its energy and speed? يا ترى ايه العلاقة ما بين حركة الرولر كوستر والموشن والسبيد والانرجي؟ Let's go back to our drawing. In the beginning, the roller coaster gets energy from the motors and the electricity. The more it moves quickly, the more its kinetic energy increases. كل ما هي تتحرك أسرع، كل ما هيبقى عندها more kinetic energy. Until it reaches the highest point. As you see, the roller coaster is not moving. هنا في النقطة دي بالظبط الرولر كوستر هتبقى ما بتتحركش. You might say that it doesn't have energy, but actually it has energy even if it doesn't move. كل ما الرولر كوستر بتبقى طالعة هي عمالة تخزن energy، بتعمل storing to the energy لحد ما توصل للهايست بوينت. هنا بيبقى عندها أكتر طاقة مخزنة جواها. So the question is, where does this energy come from? The roller coaster stores some of the energy that it gets during quick motion. We call this form of energy, the stored energy which was stored during the roller coaster motion, we call it potential energy. Let's write it under the highest point that the roller coaster stops. هنا عندي ال stored energy that we talked about. When the roller coaster moves again, it doesn't need a large amount of electricity because of the slope or the ramp in the path of the plane. انتوا اكيد فاكرين موضوع الرامب لما اتكلمنا عنه، ان الرامب اصلا بيعمل increasing the speed of the roller coaster او of اي object بيبقى نازل. Because of this ramp help in increasing the speed of the roller coaster motion downward. الرامب ده هيخلي الرولر كوستر وهي نازله كده تنزل بسبيد سريعه جدا. The stored energy will change into a different form of energy that make it continue its motion, and this motion will increase whenever the roller coaster speed rises. You can test this yourself in many ways. If you like riding a bicycle, try to pedal to go higher. What energy do you need to move your leg and pedal? When you reach the highest point, then go down. Do you need to pedal in the same way to go down? Do you move quickly or slowly? احنا بنقابل نفس اللي بيحصل في الرولر كوستر ده بالظبط لما بنلعب بالبايسكل وبنبقى طالعين على طريق لحد ما نوصل للهايست بوينت. احنا هنا عمالين نعمل انرجي عاليه جدا، وبعد كده when we start going down we feel that the bicycle is going faster and really easy. By the way, we will think again of the phenomena of the roller coaster in all our next lessons. Try to keep in mind all the information we studied and got. I need you to think about all the questions you have about the energy that causes the motion of roller coaster and what happened to that energy as the roller coaster moved. Write down these questions in your book page 163. You can start your question with words like why, when, and do or does, and use the terms from the reading text like speed, stored energy, and so on. Take your time, and when we come back, I'll share with you some questions I think of. I recorded 3 questions using the words mentioned above. The questions are: why does the roller coaster speed vary while it goes up and down? ليه سرعته بتتغير وهو طالع وهو نازل؟ When does the energy of the roller coaster run out? يعني at what moment can I say that roller coaster runs out of its energy؟ خلاص خلصت الانرجي بتاعته. Does gravity affect the motion of the roller coaster؟ هيبقى فيه تأثير للجاذبية؟ I'm sure that you think about different questions about the investigative phenomena. I think that your questions are about the different forms of energy that cause the motion of the roller coaster. Do you remember when Farah said she thinks there are many forms of energy? This is what we are trying to explore together in our third activity. يلا نجهز للأكتيفيتي اللي جاية. Our third activity is think like a scientist. In this activity, we will use what we know to explore more different examples about energy from our daily lives. I think the first place where we can start is the class. Try to observe all things around us in class, then think if these things need the energy to work or have stored energy. يا ترى بيحتاجوا طاقة عشان يشتغلوا ولا عندهم طاقة متخزنة؟ While you are observing, you will fill the table on page 164. I'll observe like you the things in the class. تعالوا نشوف هنعمل ايه في التيبل. We will write the name of the object we observe in the first column. If this object uses energy, we will write how this happened in the second column. And if this object contains energy, we will explain that in the third column. هنا هنكتب اسم الأوبجكت بيستخدم energy، هنكتبه هنا ونشرح ده. لو هو جواه energy هنكتبه هنا. If you are not sure of your answer, you can leave the cell blank. هتسيبها فاضية. You can use very simple words in your explanation like heat, light, makes a sound, moves. Before we start, let me tell you an example that may help you. Let me show it to you on the table, okay? I see in my class a fan, so I will write it on the first column or the left side of the table. This fan must move to move the air in the place, and definitely it cannot move by itself. It's necessary to be connected with electricity. أكيد الفان دي لازم تشتغل بالكهرباء. For sure the fan will get its energy from the electricity. So here we will write the fan uses electrical energy to move. We can guess what does this energy called. It might be electrical energy as it's relevant to electricity. It's your turn to think and fill in the table. Think about any object that moves in the class, any object that works with electricity, any object that make sound, or any object that give off heat. I think it's super easy right now. Take your time and fill your table. I collected here some pictures and objects that I think may contain or use energy to work. Here we have many pictures. أول حاجة I have the picture of the fan that we talked about that uses electric energy to work. I have a picture of a clock which I hang above the board. A picture of my laptop, and I have a lamp and a battery by which the clock works. I brought battery with me. So now I have many objects. تعالوا كده نتكلم عن واحدة واحدة بالتفصيل. The first picture is the picture of the clock. I found that the clock seconds hand move. So I concluded that this clock uses energy. طب how does the clock get its energy? Did you see before that there are batteries inside the clock? Such batteries give energy to the clock to work. So I will write the word clock on the left column. هكتب هنا الأوبجكت بتاعي هو الكلوك. وبعدين I will write in the second column the clock uses the energy of the battery to move its hand. Clock uses battery energy. What about the second picture? The second picture is the laptop. How does it work? Does it work alone? No. There is a battery inside it. And when the battery discharges, لما البطارية بتفضى, I put the cord of the charger in the electricity so that the battery is charged again. I also told you to notice anything that light up. تعالوا الأول نكتب اللابتوب. اللابتوب it uses the energy from the battery and electricity when the battery is empty. Uses battery energy. I told you to observe things that light up, and when the screen turns on, it lights up. So we can say that it emits light too, which I guess is called light energy. So it will use the energy from the laptop, use the energy within the battery to start working. يعني اللابتوب بياخد electricity, and sometimes when the screen is on, it gets out the light energy. What about the light bulb? Light bulb هي lamp. It's a source of light. How does it work? I have to turn on the electricity, so it uses electrical energy to give us light so that we can see. So let's write this one too. A lamp uses electric energy. What about the last object that I got? The last object that I got is the battery. This battery doesn't move, but it helps in moving the clock hands of the clock. So it has energy. I wonder if it uses energy or it contains energy. يا ترى هي بتستخدم energy ولا في جواها energy متخزنة؟ I will leave this cell blank until I search and then go back to complete it later. هنكتب دلوقتي الباتري وبعدين من خلال دراستنا هنعرف هل هي جواها energy ولا هي بتستخدم الانرجي to work. I'm already sure that it has some form of energy within it, as we use them to run toys, to run cars, remote controls, clocks, and alarms. I have completed my table, and I'm sure you think about more objects. One of you may think about a flashlight or headphones, so any object that make a sound or has light is relevant to the energy. Think carefully. Do you think that there are similar objects in my table? Like maybe the lamp and the fan we talked earlier about. They both need electrical energy to work. So I can conclude that both of them use electrical energy. What else? The screen of the laptop gives light, and so do the lamp. So we can conclude that these two objects are similar in giving off light energy. Let's think about what we have done together in the activity. Then answer the questions on page 165. The first question, were you surprised at the number of objects you found that contained or used energy؟ يا ترى لقيتوا objects كتير جواها أو بتستخدم الانرجي؟ Why? This question depends on your answers you wrote down. Most objects around us use different forms of energy. However, some of them may seem different or have no relation with other objects. But if we observe well, we will find that they have same energy, like the fan and the lamp, or what we do to charge the battery of the laptop. The second question, what were some forms of energy you observed? The answer to this question is relevant to the table you completed. In my table, I observed that the lamp uses energy that lights up, called electrical energy. Also, the light that the lamp gives off is called light energy. And what's left to search about is the battery's energy. And I will explore it later. How did constructing a table help us understand forms of energy? إزاي التيبل ده ساعدنا النهارده يا ترى؟ When you think about this question, the table may help you in collecting and organizing your observation. It also helps in knowing the similarities and differences between these objects. أكيد لما كتبنا عن الكلوك واللابتوب إن هما بيستخدموا الانرجي من الباتري ابتدينا نلاقي some similarities ما بينهم. This is the end of our today's lesson. It's time to revise the main points of the lesson. Today we have learned the investigative phenomena in which we have explored the source of energy that causes the motion of the object and the relation between the energy and the speed. إيه علاقة الطاقة بالسرعة؟ We observed the different forms of energy around us, and we will know more about these in our next lessons. I need you to look around in the class, in your home, and in any place you go to find out different objects which use or contain different forms of energy. Thank you, my dear students, and see you in our next lesson.